Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Maaike and welcome to my end of the year favorites videos. So I've been trying lots of new things this year and that's why I thought I could do sort of like a roundup video in different categories leading up to the new year. I will be filming these back to back, so if you see this outfit and makeup look coming by in the next couple of days, then you know where we're at. Today's video is going to be all about base products because I have been trying some new base products again this year, and they're a category where I sort of don't rotate as much as with color products. I definitely tend to use things up very often before I move on to the next thing. The only thing I don't really do that with is foundation. But other products here, I definitely will like use up before I do the next one, which is why I don't have that many options to choose from. And I think actually one of the items I will be featuring was something I tried last year, but I just haven't found anything this year that trumped it, which is why it gets to go in here. So let's start with non-foundation bits first because I have a 50-50 split. 5 of these are non-foundation and the other 5 are foundations. So I'll leave those till the end. Let's just start with the first step in our makeup routine, which would be primer. I have so far not found anything that can trump this for me. And this is the Catrice Fresh It Up Hydrating Primer. This is lovely. It's cheap and cheerful. I think it is a dupe for the Smashbox Primerizer, which is like a moisturizing primer. And I've tried some high-end stuff. I've tried some more drugstore stuff this year. And just nothing else has really been able to kick this off of its top list. So this is still my top favorite primer, and that's why I wanted to share it. So this product needs a lot more loving. The second product I have for you is another product I feel needs to get some more loving. I think I featured both of these actually in a Hidden Gems at the Drugstore video a couple of weeks ago, and that is the Makeup Revolution Fixing Spray. Again, Fixing Spray is a product that I will use up completely before I move on to the next one, and I don't like spending a whole lot of money on it. I just want it to work. And while the Urban Decay All Nighter is like one of the best ones in terms of making your makeup last, I do feel that it's perhaps a little bit too heavy duty for what I like for a day-to-day basis. But I feel that this does a really great job. It's, I think, let me see, 100 mils. So, and this is, I think, €8. So this is cheap and cheerful, gets the job done. It has a very pleasant spritzer to it. And this is just the kind of fixing spray that you can just like spray on and then you're done. So I really like that about this one. And it's just a really good one. It makes my makeup last. It doesn't make it look cakey. It's not too mattifying. And it has a very pleasant green tea scent. I only have one concealer here, and that's because I again feel that I didn't try too many concealers that really sort of took the top spot alongside my favorite Catrice Liquid Camouflage and my Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. I did get the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Hydrate Concealer, but I just haven't really gotten around to trying it enough to really know how I feel about it. I definitely want to make 2020 like the year where I try all the lovely hydrating face products. That's sort of like the plan, so stay tuned for that. But one thing I did try that Catrice came out with is the One Drop Coverage Concealer. And this is a backup that I bought because I went through a complete one of this. And I just love this stuff. Like the minute I started using this, I was like hooked, and I kept using it until it was gone. And that was like in the springtime. This was very nice and lightweight. You don't need a lot to get good coverage. And because it has that very sort of watery texture, I feel it's very easy to blend. Very often with high coverage concealers, they can also be on the thicker end of the spectrum. And it just means that it's harder to blend in. Whereas with this, goes on so nicely. It looks really nice on the under eyes, and I was really loving it, which is why I bought a backup straight away. The other 2 non-foundation products that are in this top 10 are powders, and both of them are by Hourglass. You probably will have seen this coming. I don't have a backup of this, but this is my used up Diffused Light powder. This was my face powder for like a good chunk of the year, and it's definitely up there with my favorites. I was using the NYX HD powder before this, and at first I felt like that was a good, more affordable dupe of this much more expensive Hourglass powder. But as I was using this more and more, I just felt that the Hourglass definitely does something unique. It makes my makeup stay put very nicely, but it does add a little bit of a glow and it never looks cakey or drying on my skin. Because I have dry skin, powder can very easily do that for me. I'm now using the Too Faced Primed and Poreless powder, and I really like that, but I feel that now that I've used it after this, I feel that this is perhaps even a bigger favorite than that Too Faced one. But yeah, use this up completely, which is what I tend to do with my powders, at least pressed powders. I tend to use it up before I move on to something else. And I loved how, yes, it is expensive, but it did last me, I think 6 or 7 months, which I think is a good sort of time period for a product like this. Again, this is one of the reasons why I think this is now on top of my other two favorite powders, which are by MAC and Too Faced, as I mentioned, but those can be used up in like 2 months, and they are also quite expensive. So you would have to buy 3 of those against 1 of these. So then this makes it actually better cost per use. Another Hourglass powder that I tried for the first time this year is the Hourglass Veil Loose Powder. And I think that when I use up my Too Faced one, I may want to go into this. I'm not entirely sure yet. I have a couple of other powders I want to try. Over the summertime, I did a trying out 7 different loose powders and sort of trying to see if I could have like regular conditions for each one, so that I could really compare how these wore, etc., etc. And I decided to test 6 cult favorite loose powders against my ultimate favorite, Catrice Nude Illusion powder. And this was the only powder in that entire video that I like better than the Catrice one. So this is now my favorite loose powder, and then the Catrice one. So that's why this had to make an appearance here, because I absolutely loved it. Love what it did for my skin. You can't beat Hourglass in terms of like powder products. They are so lovely. I can't rave about them enough. And then I have 5 foundations for you. And this is where we get a little bit bougie as well. I tend to, for concealer, I really tend to like drugstore, primers as well, setting sprays as well. But when it comes to like foundations, I tend to be a bit of a bougie person. There's only one drugstore foundation in here, and it's actually one that already came out towards the end of December last year. And but I definitely use it a bit more this year as well. But I absolutely love it. This is one of my favorite drugstore foundations, and it's the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. This is also a review that I posted on my blog, and it did very well because I also compared it to the old version of this. That didn't come in a shade that worked for me, but this does. And that is one thing it already has going for it. But the formula of this is absolutely stunning. For a drugstore foundation, I haven't found anything that is this hydrating, long-lasting, stays looking nice on the skin. Maybe not if you have super oily skin, but for me, this just worked really well, which is why I had to put it in the number 6 spot. And then sort of tying in with that, actually, because I think that L'Oreal foundation may actually be a dupe for this guy. And this is the YSL All Hours foundation. And I got this with a discount like the last week of the year. And so I think I wore this a lot in January, and it really reminded me of what the L'Oreal one does. And L'Oreal as a brand owns YSL. So there are a lot of sort of like YSL kind of like products in the L'Oreal line. So I feel that these may actually be very similar, which is why I wanted to show them here next to each other as well. The Infallible, I feel, does something very differently at a much more affordable price point. This is sort of my foundation that it says all hours, and it definitely has that wear time. If you're looking for a really good long wearing foundation that is not dry and cakey, then this is one of the best foundations I ever tried. Kid you not, I love it. I love this stuff. But you know that in terms of coverage, those are like more like medium to full, and that isn't necessarily my cup of tea. I love a good lightweight foundation. That's like my favorite, my standard, my go-to. So you can bet on it that there are going to be some lightweight foundations in here. And I really wanted to feature this, not because I did a video with it. Again, you can watch my review of this compared to the other Hello Happy foundation that Benefit now does. But this Benefit Hello Happy Soft Blur Foundation came out on top of the other one. And this is only a mini travel size because I wanted to try it to see if I liked it. And Benefit products can be quite expensive. So I love that they do all these minis so you can really try it and see how it works. And this foundation, it looked lovely. The wear time on this was excellent, especially for how lightweight it is. And despite it being very lightweight, because of the blurring properties of this, I felt it still sort of covered all of the redness in my face really, really well too. So I'm actually contemplating buying a full size of this. The only problem is that I have plenty of foundations that I also just need to get my use out of. So maybe not repurchasing this anytime soon, or maybe again in a little mini like this, but it's a lovely foundation. In terms of super light coverage, I was very much taken with this. This is the Chanel Le Beige Sheer Healthy Glow Tinted Moisturizer. I used to really love the Body Shop's BB cream for like a really lightweight summertime foundation. They discontinued it, and ever since I've been looking for something that can do what that product did for my skin. And I've been trying different BB creams by other brands and things like that, and I haven't found anything that works as good until this. It is, of course, again, quite a bougie option, and especially for a tinted moisturizer. I'm not sure whether you would have to buy something this expensive, but I do feel that a lot of drugstore foundations are very often like medium to full coverage, because that's what they seem to be just really good at. But these lighter weight textures that still have a bit of coverage, it's high end where it's at, and I love this over the summertime. This is in the shade Light. I think it only comes in like 3 shades or something crazy like this, but it has an SPF of 30, so it was lovely, lovely for the summertime. And even on like quite hot days, this wore well, and it just gives you enough, especially for the summertime. I don't want to wear anything too heavy, and this was just lovely for that. And then last but not least, the Dior Backstage foundation is the last favorite I want to mention here, because this was just, I brought this with me to New York because this is plastic packaging. So, and it of course doesn't have like anything that can break otherwise. So I thought it was a good one to try and use then. And I really loved it. If I travel, my makeup is something I don't want to worry about. So again, I need something that's quite long wearing, that looks really nice. And I got so many compliments on this foundation and what it made my skin look like when I was in New York, but also outside of it. So this is just a great foundation. It is sort of light medium coverage, but I think that this is the kind of foundation that if you add like an extra layer or two, that you can make it sort of like medium to full. But this is a great sort of like wearable everyday foundation. And it comes in a bunch of shades as well. I have mine in 0N, which is the lightest neutral tone shade, and it works really well for me. So banging shade match, banging formula. And I was like going through all of the foundations and I was like, yes, I need to mention the Dior one, because if there was a foundation I tried this year for the first time that I really fell in love with, it was this one. So those are my top 10 favorite base products. So anything you sort of do to sort of create a smooth canvas before you go in with the color products. But we all know color products is where that's what makes my heart beat a lot faster. So there the choices were definitely a little bit more difficult. So stay tuned for my other 3 videos that I still have coming for you. We're definitely going to do eyeshadow palettes, of course, as well. So thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for all of these other videos I have coming for you. And of course, I'm also going to be back with 3 new videos a week in the new year. So thank you very much for watching. Merry Christmas, because this video is going to go live the day before Christmas. And so I really hope you have a lovely time with family and friends and all of your loved ones. And then I will see you again in the next one. Bye!